Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Falls from Iron. I am Gatesy. This is a post-match analysis of the game that took place today at the London Stadium between Serie A and Champions League team Atalanta and the mighty, mighty West Ham United. Before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, if any of you are watching either live or at your own leisure, please do us a favour. Drop a like on the video. That would be very much appreciated and helps the channel out a great deal. Subscribe to the channel, of course, and please make sure you hit that bell icon so that as and when any new content is uploaded to the channel, you get a notification on your device and you can watch my beautiful face giving you entertainment, analysis, facts, and various other jollity. So, now I have to be honest, I didn't go to the game today. I just, I was doing other things. However, waiting in the wings is someone that actually did give Mr. Sullivan an extra few quid out of his hard-earned and went along to the London Stadium along with the assembled hordes of the Claret and Blue Army. And I'm just curious. I watched a bit of the game on the West Ham Facebook page, along with probably a few of you watching. But I just want to get a sort of fan's view from the ground, not just about the match, but I also want to find out about the general getting in, getting out, the general match day experience, because obviously this was the first time that we had a significant amount of fans in the ground for the best part of a year and a half. So without further ado, I'm going to bring him into the stream right now. Steve, as I live and breathe, my sir, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Gatesy, and thank you very much for inviting me on so I could look at your wonderful demeanour, as you said in the build-up.
It is, as usual, my friend, it is my genuine pleasure. And I'm just looking in the live chat before we get into the meat of this. Peach is in the building. Peach is in the building.
Hey,
Listen,
Peach,
I can't do it as well as you, Pete. I cannot do it as well as you, Peach, but, I try. Trev Tube's here as well. Welcome along, my friend. Hope you are well. We've also, for all the way from Auburn, Alabama, USA, is Larry Watkins. How are you, mate? I hope things are well your side of the pond. And Charlie, welcome. I hope you are well, my friend. All the way there in the USA as well. So he's kind of a neighbour of Lawrence, although not really. But he's probably closer than we are. So
yeah, probably.
Huge country. And also we've got Cyber in. Cyber's in the building. I'm not going to start singing. So anyway, Steve, we'll get into the match in a minute. As I say, one thing I'm really curious to hear, because obviously I haven't been to the ground myself for a match since the Southampton game before, obviously, the pandemic. And obviously, I know we had a couple of games. We had the Manchester United game. I think there was about 1,000, 2,000 fans that were allowed in. The Southampton game at the end of last season, where there was 10,000 fans, I believe, that was in. But this is the first time we've had any significant volume of fans in the ground. And obviously, for anyone that watched the pre-match, hello, Neil, hope you're well. Anyone that watched the pre-match, there was a little bit of a sort of situation involving Milesy with ticketing and this, that, and the other. So I'm curious, was there a sort of, because there was something about sort of you needed to take photo ID, passport, driver's license, photo card, something like that. How was it for you?
Well, it's a very good thing I didn't know about that, because I didn't take any ID with me, and none was asked for. None was asked.
Interesting.
Went in, went through very smoothly. Very courteous stewards. Found our seats, no problems.
That makes a change.
Yeah, very, very, very easy. There wasn't, to be fair, it was far from a full stadium. I mean,
yes,
40% full, maybe 50. I mean, I'm no judge, but yeah, very easy. Nobody asked a photo ID.
Didn't take your temperature or anything?
No, no temperature taken, and there wasn't particularly an overstringency on wearing face masks either.
Okay.
So, again, there weren't many people around us. There's a few in front, a few behind, but no, it was very relaxed, very pleasant, really. I mean, it was the customary
Good.
long wait for a pint of beer, but I mean, other than that, I got no complaints.
Have they brought the prices down of the beer, dare I ask?
Well, I don't know what they were before, but it was about £6 a pint. £5.85.
Ouch.
Which, well, what really got me was it was £1.90 for a packet of crisps. Now that I think is a rip-off by any standards. Or £5.
I don't get.
Yeah, or £5 for a pie.
I do not. I think I said it on a stream earlier this week. The last time I got food at the London Stadium and drink was the very first game there, Dunzale. I was so disappointed and all the rest of it with the value for money for what you're getting that I just haven't bothered since. So what I tend to do is we've got a few places that I know where I can sort of go either before and or after the match, and myself and the kids will get sort of like a bit of food, bit of drink, and try and sort of get a little bit more value for money, because you definitely don't get it at the food kiosks at London Stadium, in my humble opinion. But obviously, I'm sure that Mr. Sullivan and Mr. Gold would counter that point. But
well, I brought 3 pints, 2 for my guests, and it was sort of the best part of £18. And I thought that stings a bit, I've got to say, because there's no way that's £18 worth of beer. But I know prices have gone up, but not that much. Not £6 for a pint of cider. I can get a bottle of Bulmers down the off license for £2.50. So
crazy.
It was a lot of money.
Absolutely crazy.
That side of the match day experience was, you're being ripped off. Okay, so be it. But the rest of it was fine. It really was.
Yeah.
I think because there weren't many people there, it was fairly easy to get into the stadium, and it was very easy to get back to Stratford as well. There was no problems with that. But again, with a full capacity, that's going to be harder.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, really.
But overall, getting into the ground, getting out again, that general experience was fairly straightforward. There was no long queues. You weren't having to give ID, and you weren't having your temperature taken or anything like that. And mask wearing was not really sort of worried about. Okay, that's interesting, as I say, because obviously, because the Leicester game is going to be the first time I'll have been there since that Southampton game the season before last now. So so anyone watching that sort of like is in the same boat as me, hopefully that's given you a little bit of reassurance that maybe it's not going to be the doomsday scenario of, because I think someone said on the stream this morning, taking 2 hours to get into the ground. I'm like,
oh no,
what?
No, we walked straight in, no problem.
Yeah, good. Good.
And I mean, Leicester's going to be. I mean, I've got a season ticket for this season, first time in many years. But Leicester will be my first Premier League match as well, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, you say that now, but don't forget who sat a couple of rows behind you. And I've got a good throw.
Yeah, I know. If I have a meat pie suddenly hit me on the back of the head, I know who it was. So I've got to say,
listen, at the prices at the London Stadium, as we've just discussed, if you're getting a free meat pie thrown at you, don't complain. Don't complain. It's a free gift.
Yeah, this is true. Mind you, the price of the London stadium, you'd be better off throwing a brick. They're cheaper.
Don't tempt me.
But I mean, part of the reason.
Okay, so let's get the teams up. So, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say part of the reason for.
Part of the reason you just dropped out. What was you going to say there, mate?
Yeah, sorry, you just. We went to see what our seats with our season ticket were like, and they're really good. I was really pleased with them. So, makes me look forward to the games even more. Anyway, carry on about the game.
No problem at all, mate. No problem. Oh, you've dropped out again. Good God. Hang on, he's coming back, guys. There he is. Ah, you have to put another 50 pence in the Wi-Fi meter or something.
What, me?
You just dropped out there just for a sort of 10 seconds or so.
Oh, so did you, oddly.
No, I was here the whole time.
Well, okay, fine, no problem.
Okay,
no problem.
Before it starts to play silly whatsits again, let's quickly get the. So that was the West Ham team that lined up today. So we had obviously Fabianski in goal, Kufal, or actually no, I'm pronouncing it wrong because there was the West Ham awards yesterday, and the man himself has said that it's pronounced Tufal by all accounts.
Tufal.
Right. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. That's going to be really odd because I've been pronouncing it as Sufal or Kufal for the last year or so, and now I'm going to have to pronounce it as Tufal. But hey ho. So Vladimir Tufal, right back.
Yeah.
Then we had a centre back pairing of Issa Diop and Craig Dawson with Aaron Cresswell at left back. Then the CDM roles were occupied as usual by the captain Declan Rice and Thomas Soucek, back from the European Championships. Then we had Pablo Fornals. I believe he was on the left, and Andrei Yarmolenko was on the right, with Said Benrahma occupying the number 10 position. And then up top on his own was number 9, Michael Antonio. The bench contained on debut Alphonse Areola, David Martin. Why you want 2 goalkeepers, I do not know. Ryan Fredericks, Ben Johnson, Jamal Baptiste, Frederic Alves, Mark Noble, the club captain, Connor Coventry, Jared Bowen, and the promising youngster who I will be keeping my eye on this season, Armstrong Oko Flex. Was it, from what you could see, Steve, was that a 4-2-3-1 lineup, I take it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Antonio was up front on his own, being fed by Benrahma and Yarmolenko. So yeah, I would have, absolutely 4-2-3-1.
Yeah. And just for sort of balance, I will get the names of the Atalanta team. Let me just get rid of that comment there. I'm sorry, Peter. It's not that I'm being rude, but it's just in the way. And I will just turn. Hang on. Button pressing monkey today. There we go. So you can see it a little bit clearer. So the goalkeeper was Musso. The number 2, Toloi. Number 6, Palomino. You'll have to forgive me. I'm not terribly familiar with all of these names. I'm not an expert in Atalanta and Serie A, I have to be honest, but there you go. 19 was Jim Citi. I don't know. Yeah. 3, Myla. Now him I'm familiar with because he was played for Denmark at the Euros. 15 was Darun. 11 was Fuller. Number 8, Robin Gosens, the German. 15 mine, Miranchuk. 88, squad numbers, Pasalic, and 99, Piccoli. Now, surely 99 should be a flake, shouldn't it, Steve?
What's that? Sorry, Gatesy, you just dropped out for a sec.
Number 99. They had a number 99 playing for them, Atalanta.
Oh, yeah,
surely his name should be Flake.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you used to get when we were kids. Well, you can still get them. Great big ice cream.
Yeah.
Cadbury's Flake put in it. Wonderful. Oh, happy days.
The one thing I do know about Atalanta, from what we was talking this morning, they usually line up with a back 3. Was from where you were sitting and what you could see, was that pretty much how they lined up, or was it a back 4? What were we facing?
No, I think we were facing a back 3. To be fair, again, I didn't look that closely at them because I wanted to see how the Hammers performed, how cohesive we were. But yeah, pretty much a back 3 again, and. Yeah, they set up and they looked pretty solid for certainly the first half anyway.
So the first half, now I got to be honest, I didn't see any of the first half. I was out down Blue Water doing various bits and pieces with my wife, my daughter. We had a spot of lunch in a very nice Italian restaurant there. Oh. I got to watch the second half on Facebook. It was on the official club stream on Facebook. That was quite nice. But one thing I was aware of, because obviously you and I are both in a little group chat for the addicts on the Addicts patrons on Hammers chat.
Yeah.
And it became fairly obvious to me from a lot of the comments that were coming on there that one player that was having quite a big influence on the match was a certain Saeed Benrahma. Was that how things seemed to be from where you was sitting? He'll be back in a minute. There we go.
And nobody
it's all
else
right,
on the
you're
internet.
back.
Yeah, no one else is on the internet, and I've got fibre optic coming in from Virgin, so you would actually be hopeful that it might work. I might actually take a pickaxe to my router after this. It's driving me mad. For future streams, I'm
Was
going
it
to
installed by
hardwire.
Pi Capital?
Oh, very possibly. I'm going to use James's computer, and I'm going to put a hardwire into it for future streams because it's so annoying, you know. But anyway, yeah, Benrahma, wow, what a performance! He was brilliant, and his link-up play with Fornals was superb. I watched him and I thought, this is if he can play like this season, he is going to be something special. I mean, we saw flashes of it last season, but I was gobsmacked how good he was. His touch, his passing, his vision. He had one shot from an angle that he hit the bar with. He played lots of intelligent through balls, and his setup for Antonio's goal was I'd
Great
use the
awareness,
word
wasn't it?
majestic. Yeah, I mean, he was. I sat there and watched him, and I thought that this obviously gives my age away, but I was a huge Trevor Brooking fan whenever I watched him play. He was able to put his foot on the ball and influence the game. And he seemed to always have time and space. You know,
At this point in time, I suspect that Steve is now running to his garden shed, grabbing a pickaxe and attacking the Wi-Fi router. Don't do it, Steve. Wait until after we've finished.
yeah, no, I won't do it. No, it's definitely going to have to be hardwired in now. But you see, I was trying to do a stream with Cathal yesterday, and I had none of this at all. But that's another story. Cathal and I have got to learn how to record ourselves. But he was sensational. It was an absolute pleasure to watch him play. And at the end, when they said, "Oh, Benrahma was man of the match," it was no surprise.
You were kind of like, well, he was in a competition of one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, here's the thing. I want to ask you something, Steve. In your opinion, on the basis of, and I appreciate this is one game, this is a pre-season friendly and all the rest of it, but there's obviously still noises, you know, is Lingard coming in? Could he be a last day swoop from out of nowhere? And obviously, I don't know if you've heard, but he's actually out of the first game of the season because he's apparently tested positive for COVID.
Yes, I have heard that.
But would you suggest that if we actually go ahead and sign him, it might actually be a retrograde step in the sense that it might actually put, again, a little bit of an obstacle, or do you believe that the competition would be healthy? What would be your opinion if Lingard did walk through the door against all expectations?
Right. I actually put this on the Hammers Chat Addicts WhatsApp. If Benrahma plays like that all season, we don't need Lingard. He was better. I thought.
That's high praise.
I mean, Lingard for a few games was sensational, but no, I actually would have to say I think Benrahma, if he can play to that standard, would be a much better option than Lingard. And go and buy a different type of player to strengthen the squad rather than get Jesse back. That would be what I'd do. If I could depend.
Just give him a few seconds. There we go.
The problem is if Benrahma gets injured, we've got nobody to replace him. So that is a possibility
I
for
suppose
signing
we got
Lingard.
Fornals that could play as a number 10.
Well, Fornals was great as well today. I mean, his link-up play with Benrahma was wow. Um,
Yeah,
and there were lots of really good performances out there. Benrahma was just miles above the rest.
yeah.
Steve 5G, thank you, Fresh.
Cheers, Fresh.
Yes, thank you. No, I'm going to as I say, get a hardwire lead into the router because I can't carry on like this. It drives me mad, and drives everybody who's watching mad as well, no doubt.
Makes me chuckle, mate. It's no problem
Yeah,
to
well,
me.
I'm pleased you're amused, but for me, I'm one of these people. I like things to work.
Like that. Timing is everything, people. Timing is everything. Don't worry. He'll be back. He'll be back. Hang on. There we go. He's in. He's back here. It's all right. Honestly, you can get your pickaxe handle afterwards, Steve. It's fine. We're just going to carry on like this. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Anybody who knows me knows I hate technology anyway. And then when it doesn't work, I really despise it. So, my router's actually carrying the corner at the moment, knowing its time is up. But anyway, yeah, let's carry on.
In the first half, Steve, were there? I mean, obviously, we know Benrahma was quite a big influence in our offensive play. What did you see sort of any improvements though? Because obviously we know that there was an awful lot of criticism that was levelled at him for his defensive capabilities within the structure of how David Moyes wants to operate. Did you find that from what you could remember of him last season in that aspect to what you saw today with your own eyes, did you see that there was a sort of marked improvement in that regard defensively?
I just think he worked damn hard all game. It wasn't just what he did offensively, but he worked for the team. He worked hard. And yeah, he got stuck in. He ran around. And probably start kicking Steve off.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to Dave.
Sensible man if he did.
Dave's my cousin, so
yeah. Have I met
he's just
Dave?
stirring the
I've
pot.
met your brother.
I don't think
enough.
you have. I don't think you have, but you will.
No, I've met you.
You will.
I'm sure I will. But I just thought it was an all-round excellent performance. If I had to give him a mark, and you know what I'm like with my marks, I'm the man who gave Harry Kane a 0, which was still 1 mark more than Andy gave him, admittedly. But nevertheless, I'd have to give Benrahma a 10 today. I just thought he was sensational.
Wow.
And I've been quite a fierce Benrahma critic. I've turned around and I've said he's got all the potential, but he's not doing it there. He's not doing it there. He's not doing it there. I thought he was faultless today.
Yeah.
And when you get a player, it's a bit like Payet. Absolute pleasure to watch on the ball, playing the game. He was an absolute pleasure to watch today. I mean, terrific.
And that's what you pay the entrance fee for, isn't it? You want to see the team ultimately prevail, but you also want to have a level of entertainment. And players like Payet, players like Benrahma, these are the players that you sort of like. You want to see them pulling out little tricks, flicks, bits of skill that make you go, "Wow, he didn't just do that, did he?" But he's one of those players, isn't he? When he's on it, he can make opposition players look stupid. And we're talking like Premier League players, and just makes them look foolish. He'll be back in a minute. There he is.
Back again. Oh, good. I'm actually practicing my disappearing, you see. That's what I'm doing. for later.
Yeah, he's a part-time magician.
Yeah, true. They don't call me Tommy Cooper for nothing. No, but enough. Yeah, I mean, Deck is a great player and he's really solid, and he plays really well all the time. But some of the things Benrahma does, you go, oh, God, that was lovely. Or That was clever.
Mm.
Now, I think Deck is a world-class player. You know, I've had
Yeah.
to come to terms with the fact, because I've said on the streams before, you know, I didn't think Deck was quite there. Well, I think he is now, actually. I think he's genuinely
Yeah.
world-class. But Benrahma would do things that had you on the edge of your seat today, and you think, how's he done that? How's he made that
Yeah.
ball? What vision? And, you know, I've gone, and I don't sort of give false praise where it's not due, but today, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'd see if he could carry on like that, he is going to be worth a hell of a lot of money
Mm. Mm.
very shortly.
Was
And
there
we'll,
any,
yeah,
Steve? I was sorry.
yeah, I'm
I was
here.
just about to ask. In the first half specifically, we'll move on to the second half in a moment. In the first half, obviously we went 1-0 up at the break. But was there ever any point that Atalanta threatened Lucas Fabianski's goal, or were they pretty much ineffective as an offensive force from what you could see?
Well, from what I could see, they didn't have a shot on target. The
Mm.
first 20 minutes or so, they they looked like they were going to dominate the game to a point because they were in our half more, and we grew into the game. And as time went on, we started to dominate the game. And
Mm.
after the first goal, there was only one team that were going to win it. We came out in the second half and we looked good. There was there was a beautiful piece of play. And sorry, I'm jumping into the second half here. Uh,
No, no, that's
down,
cool.
yeah, down by our corner flag, and we had Atalanta
Mm.
players pressing us, and there were 4 or 5 very quick passes, and the ball swept out to the other side of the pitch, and all the crowd are going wild because it was such an intricate piece of play to get out from a pressured position to where we were then on the front foot going up the other end of the pitch. It was glorious to
Mm.
watch. It was champagne football. And no, I considering Atalanta are going to compete in the Champions League,
Mm.
I thought I thought we were at least their equal, and I actually think we deserved to win the match. I thought certainly in the second half we were the better team, and that says something. You know, when I when I looked at that team, I mean, was it Milenkovic? It looks very possible he's going to sign, doesn't it now?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it isn't over the line yet, but the noises seem to be that there's progress. It's slow progress, but
Yeah,
I was wondering whether he may have been unveiled at some point during the match, either before halftime or maybe after. I don't know. Whether the club might have made an announcement. Obviously, that didn't come to pass. But
no,
I'm looking at it, and it looks like Milenkovic is fairly close.
yeah. So I was looking at our team today and thought, right, you get Milenkovic at the back, we get a
Who would he
decent
replace for
strike.
you? Would he be replacing Dawson? I take it, and be put alongside Ogbonna.
Yeah, but as Bonner's injured at the moment, he'd be replacing Diop for me
He
rather
should be
than
available from the Newcastle game, from what I've been led to believe.
right. Okay, so because Dawson had a good game today, I thought again. Uh,
Fair enough.
yeah, I probably would have Bonner and Milenkovic. But you know what Moyes is like. He's not going to play him straight away. He's going to ease him in. He's going to get him used to how it's playing, how we're playing. But yeah, I could see going forward Milenkovic and Ogbonna being our central defenders, and I think they'll be damn good as well. To be honest, I mean we look very solid at the back today.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
looking at that, and then I looked at the whole team, and I thought, yeah, if we get 2 more players in, so just say hypothetically we got Lingard and we got Tammy Abrahams, I think we've then got enough as a squad, and I think we'd be a hell of a challenge for anybody. Because I think we
Okay,
were good today.
so we move into the second half, and there was a raft of changes. Because I was watching it, as I say, in the second half on Facebook, and there was about 5 substitutions, if memory serves, on the 62nd minute, which normally I find from that point on tends to make a bit of a difference in terms of shape, in terms of pace, in terms of just the general flow of the match for the team that's making the sort of like the substitutes to that volume. What was your thoughts from sort of like minute 62 onwards, once we made that raft of substitutions? Did it sort of stunt the momentum, or did you find that the players that came on hit the ground running? Was there anyone that you looked at and thought, because I've heard a few people said that Connor Coventry came on and looked like he gave a good account of himself?
Yeah, I mean, I was particularly interested to watch Connor Coventry, and yeah, he did. He came on, he was solid. But as for the changes, didn't seem to make a lot of difference. If anything, we became slightly more dominant after we'd made the changes.
Really?
Yeah, Fredericks was
Interesting.
really good. Fredericks was terrific down the right-hand side. His pace was, yeah, they just had no answer to it. He didn't take Benrahma and Fornals off, which was really good because they sort of held the team together. Noble came on. Okay, he's not quick anymore, but his range of passing was super. You know, get the ball, he'd look up, ping a ball across, and just open up. Normally the right hand side of the pitch. I can't remember who the other two substitutes were. Areola came on, and he had nothing to do. Literally, he didn't have a save to make.
So the guys in front of him, they did their job.
Yeah, and I can't remember who the 5th substitute was for the life of me.
Well, looking here, the substitutes on the bench, obviously I know Areola came on, David Martin, but obviously he wasn't used. They had Fredericks, Ben Johnson. He came on, didn't he?
Ben Johnson came on. He looked decent as well. You know, he was playing down the left-hand side, and he looked good again. I have to say, every single one of our players today, including Yarmolenko, albeit he's a bit slow and in my opinion, tries too many tricks sometimes. They all look decent, good, and ready for the season. And
what I want to hear.
I was very impressed. Now, to take what is effectively a friendly and take that form into the Newcastle match next week, who knows? But on what I've seen today, I'd be very encouraged.
They're a bit of a bogey team of late, aren't they, Newcastle?
Yeah, but didn't we stuff them a few seasons ago 4-0 over Christmas?
Ooh.
I believe
that would have been a game at London Stadium, wouldn't it? Was it 3-0?
No, it was up there.
Was it 4?
I think
I'm trying to remember now.
No, again, as I said before, once you get to my age, memory's sort of a vague watercolour of what has happened rather than
do you ever find you walk into a room and you wonder why you're there?
Oh, often, yeah.
It's not just me then.
Oh, no. And I'm in the middle of a conversation with somebody and I'll go, I've got no idea what I was going to say next.
Something just breaks your concentration.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it takes less and less to break my concentration these days. Or I go and play golf and I think, hang on, how many shots did I take on that hole? And you have to rethink it through carefully. And, but that's okay. I don't mind. Unfortunately, my family are very understanding. And, my daughter will go, there, Dad, it's all right. Things like that.
Yeah, you're getting old.
Yeah, certainly, definitely middle-aged now, no doubt about it. But no, they look good, and if they play like that against Newcastle, they'll spank Newcastle.
And let's not forget. I mean, this is not. I know it's a pre-season friendly, but this is this is not a mug team. I know that,
no.
and I said it on the stream this morning, the pre-match. You know, all right, Atalanta. When you think of Serie A great teams, you know, I go back and I think of teams like AC Milan, Inter Milan, Juventus, Roma, Sampdoria, Lazio, teams like that. And with all due respect to Atalanta, they're a little way down the pecking order when I'm sort of reeling off names of Italian football. Torino. And yet they deserve an awful lot of respect, because this is a team, I don't know if you realised it, and I didn't realise it until I was doing a little bit of research this morning. They scored more goals in Serie A last season than any other team. They scored 90 league goals.
Whew.
90 league goals in a league that's traditionally seen as a defensive league. They were the top dogs in terms of goals. Now, obviously, they didn't win Serie A, but they were third. They were third, and I think they were third. They didn't make second. I think it was maybe a point or goal difference. That was all that was the difference between them and second. Inter Milan, who won Serie A last season, were quite a way ahead. So, you know, they were. I don't think they were at any point going to sort of carry off Serie A. I think it was pretty much Inter's from the gun. But they finished third. And they're not one of the traditional heavy hitters of Serie A football. They've played Champions League football for a good few seasons, sort of like in the last sort of 3-4 years. They're going to be playing Champions League football this season. This is a team that deserves an awful lot of respect and credit. And all right, it's a pre-season friendly, so I'm not going to start jumping up and down too much. But we seem to deal with them fairly efficiently.
Well, I don't think they had a shot on target. I'm not sure. I might have missed one, but I can't remember them having a shot on target.
Cheers, Paul.
Ah, thank you.
I knew someone out there would.
Yeah, well, yes. It's a good thing somebody out there does. Our defence looked very composed, I have to say. They just didn't threaten us, really. It was because when we're going up there, I mean, you've met my son James. I said to him, well, you never know, we might win the Betway Cup. And he goes, it's going to be tough against Atalanta. They score hatfuls of goals and don't concede many. He said they're a Champions League side. They're good, and no doubt about it, we deserve the win. And that's all you can say. We were the better team, and that is encouraging, because I can't see a team like Newcastle putting out a team that pound for pound have got the quality Atalanta have.
Mind you, if Callum Wilson plays,
oh yeah, well, that's a different story.
He likes scoring against us.
Oh yeah, there's a few.
The second goal for us. I mean, the second goal came quite late in the day. What was your view on that? Because initially I thought it was a Saeed Benrahma goal, but it obviously, watching it on the replay, it was quite clearly a Pablo Fornals goal. But from where you were sat, what was, talk me through the second goal. How did it play out from where you were sat?
From where I was sat, Fredericks speeds down the right hand side, crosses it into sort of a dangerous area in the box. Benrahma launches himself at it, heads it. It goes into the ground, comes up, hits Fornals, who was pretty unaware of the whole thing, and then just flicks into the goalkeeper's top left-hand corner. I don't think Fornals knew an awful lot about that. And afterwards, the pair of them were in fits of laughter, and they were just waving to the fans and taking a bow kind of thing, because it was a deflection of Fornals. But again, I can't say we didn't deserve a second goal, because we created a lot of chances, a lot of good chances. So, okay, you get your luck, don't you? And also, credit to Benrahma. He had to throw himself at the ball to get his head on it and have a go at it. And you make your own luck sometimes, don't you?
Absolutely, absolutely.
But again, Frederick's pace down the wing. When you got somebody as fast as
Do you know?
Fredericks,
I got to be honest. I think he was probably the unluckiest player for West Ham last season. I'll tell you for
yeah,
why. The first three games of last season, I think most people agree that he was the best player
yeah,
at that point. You know, the game away to or the game at home to Newcastle, we
yeah,
stunk the joint out, but he was our standout player. The game
yeah,
away to Arsenal, we were much better. Probably should have got at least a draw. He was our standout player. The game
yeah,
against Wolves, up until the point he got the injury, he was looking good. He
yeah,
then gets the injury. The next game, by the time we take to the field for the next game, we've signed Vladimir Tufal, to give him his proper name,
yeah.
but
Too far.
Sufal, Kufal, whatever, um, who came in and has basically made that position his own.
Yeah,
And Ryan Fredericks now is playing second fiddle. But as I say, he was really unlucky. He was the best player for the first two and a
yeah,
bit games of last season. So I think he can count himself unlucky. But I think that he's going to be quite a quite a well used player this season because I think he could be utilised both at right fullback and as a right winger. Like
yeah,
like in the Villa game, when Jack Grealish was effectively nullified, and this is a guy that's just gone to Man City for 100 million quid. So this is not a
yes.
mug player that they've taken care of, but they both did it to good effect. I think Fredericks could actually be a player that maybe some players or some supporters might look at and go, nah, he's not really sort of up to much. But he might surprise a few people this season. What's your thoughts?
Oh yeah. I mean, I like Fredericks. I think he works hard, and he's got pace to burn. There's
Mm,
there's a video of him on YouTube, but it's sort of some national sprinting championships where he just leaves
yeah,
everybody else behind. I think he's timed something like 10.1 seconds his best over 100 meters. Now
that is
that's getting,
rapid.
yeah, it's world class, isn't it? Almost. And so nobody can live with him. And down the wing, he just knocks it past the player, gives himself something to run onto, and he just leaves the other person standing. And he's not without skill either. He beats players as well. So I would be
Mm.
very, if he can keep his hamstrings, seems to be a thing with West Ham players, hamstrings. But if he, you know, Antonio, well, he hasn't got hamstrings, he's got paper there.
I blame Rush Green.
Yeah, maybe. But
Everybody else
no,
does.
yeah, may as well. Yeah, it's a good enough excuse, isn't it? But if he can stay fit, he's going to be a great squad player for us. And I'm not actually anti him playing right wing because the couple of times I saw him play right wing last season, I thought, yeah, you're so quick, you're going to cause any defence aggravation. I mean,
Yeah,
I,
yeah. No,
the
another player that I think I don't know. Did he come on? I might have missed it. I got to be honest. I was watching the second half, but I had
yeah,
other bits and pieces going on. Did Armstrong Okoflex make an appearance at any point, Steve?
no, he
The
didn't.
young lad from Celtic.
No,
That's a shame. That's a shame because I've got to be honest. I've seen him playing
mm,
during this summer period for the 23s and also the Celtic game that was put on the internet where he
yeah,
scored. And I got to be honest, he's another player that I'm thinking keep your eye on him. I know
yeah,
he's been brought in and possibly people are thinking he's probably not got mate. I think this kid could do something this season. I really do.
yeah,
I know obviously I can't ask you your opinion because he didn't set foot on the pitch, but for those of you
so
watching, I've got a funny feeling. Keep an eye out for this kid, Armstrong Okoflex. I think he could play. I think he could play a bit more of a part than people think, and I think people might actually be surprised by what they see. Fingers crossed. Hopefully that hasn't just put the mockers on him, but I,
I thought he
I'm
was
I'm
good in
going
the
to put my
Celtic
head on
game.
the block, and I'm going to say I think this kid's got a future at the club, and I think a big one.
Yeah, I thought he was good in the Celtic game. In fact, I thought he was very good. Uh, and we'll have to wait and see. But how many players have we seen improve dramatically under Moyes? Yeah, we
Hmm.
had Fornals who always had great effort, but now he looked like a class act today. I'm trying to think who else. I mean, you could just go on and on. Creswell went from everybody saying, "Oh, come on, we've got to sell him. He's too slow. His time's up," to
Yep.
an incredibly effective player last season.
Yeah.
Ogbonna, I would say, has
Yeah.
improved
It's
under
the Moyes
Moyes.
effect.
Yeah, yeah. I just wish he'd sign a few more players, but I'd rather have Moyes
But
than
then you never know how
Paul
much of
Scholes.
that is actually down to him, how much of that is down to Sullivan, how much of that is down to agents, the player being unreasonable, the club that
Yeah,
you're trying to buy it from. It's easy to level a criticism, and I know he's got the tag of dithering Dave. But the thing is, if I mean, like, take Tammy Abraham. I mean, it's his number one target from what we've been told.
yeah,
Whether that, and this hasn't come out of the mouth of David Moyes to the best of my knowledge, but we're told that the number one target is Tammy Abraham. So okay, let's just suppose that's fact for a moment. Now, if West Ham go to Chelsea and say how much, and they go 40 million, which is the figure
yeah.
that apparently they initially went, we know that we're not gonna play ball with that. So the
No,
starting point is Chelsea need to lower their asking cost. Once we get to a point where West Ham and Chelsea can find a figure where we can go, okay, there's possibility that we could do a little bit of business here, then we've got to talk to the player. Now, if at that point the player's like, okay, these are my wage demands. I want 150k a week. Again, at that point, West Ham could be turning around and going, mate, we can't afford that. He wants a 5-year contract and he wants this and he wants that. It's not really David Moyes' fault, is it? If that's going to sort of come to pass, and whether I'm using Tammy Abraham as an example, but it could be club X, it could be player X. If that's the way it plays out, that's not really David Moyes' fault. In all fairness, is it?
no, not at all. And the other thing is, yeah, with transfers with Moyes, I am very, very confident when he does bring somebody and we'll get value for money, which is
Yes.
something we have for how many seasons we said, why did we buy that player? Not value for money. Why are they on those wages? I mean, go back to when the Icelandics in Freddie Lundberg, Kieran Dyer, in on
Mate,
really big
don't.
money. So it's
Kieran Dyer, I turned around to my best mate, and when he walked through the door, I turned around to my best mate, Rob, and I said to him, what are we doing signing him? The guy's perpetually injured. And I think it was 2 games later, it wasn't just a calf pull or a hamstring tear or anything like that. It was a double leg fracture.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, that was in that cup game
Up at
away,
Bristol
wasn't
Rovers,
it?
I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
League Cup game, I think.
And so we have a history of making bad signings. Now, I'm not going to go on about Hugo because Hugo will, I think he's the only West Ham player who's sort of a cult hero, who's only actually played something like 11 minutes for the first team. But we all loved Hugo for various reasons. But other
For
than
those
that,
few minutes, he worked hard.
he did indeed. But other than that, I can't fault the players Moyes has signed. He has signed good value for money. I mean, Souček and Soufal, for the combined price of those two, they've been outstanding.
Yeah, I think, what was it? Was it 19 million for Souček and 5 million for Soufal?
Yeah, 5 million for
Madness.
Soufal. Yeah. And
you wouldn't get a sort of player, too often for 5 million with the quality that he brought in, in his first season in the Premier League. Vladimir Soufal, that's unbelievable value for money.
And you have to say, the other great value for money we've got is Declan Rice, because it was Moyes who moved him from centre back to defensive midfielder. So
No, I think that was Pellegrini. I think it was Pellegrini that moved him from CB to
I thought Moyes did it in
midfield,
his
I
first
believe.
stint. Might be wrong.
Oh, do you know what? Kent's in the chat. He'll tell us. He'll tell
know,
us. And,
yeah.
and if he turns around and says, "Rob, you're wrong," I'm not arguing with him.
No. Well, Kent knows all things West Ham, doesn't he?
Kent knows his stuff. You know, if you want to know a fact on West Ham, chances are Kent knows it. Chances are Kent knows it.
Have we actually done a quiz recently? Because I mean, all
we
the
haven't.
Rest of us. No. Next time we do, we know we're playing for second place because Kent's going to win it. Yeah, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. It's like sort of like when Usain Bolt was in his pomp and sort of like, you know, all the other sort of like guys looked across, saw Usain Bolt sitting there on the blocks, and they're like, "Best I'm looking at is a silver today, then."
Yeah, absolutely. And
unless he gets injured.
Yeah, but Kent's not going to get injured, is he? That's the whole thing. All we can hope is that maybe one day he turns up late, answers only half the questions, then we're in with a chance. But Moyes has taken players and made them better. And he's also, the signings he's made have been value for money. Now, this is very rare for us. I mean, this is a whole new era, isn't it?
Yeah.
How much money have we wasted? Felipe Anderson, £40 million down the drain.
Yeah.
Haller, £22 million. I mean, if you could take that money back and give it to Moyes now as a budget, it'd be a completely different story, wouldn't it?
Oh goodness, yeah. Yeah,
So,
I mean, I sort of go back to his time at Everton. You look at some of the players that he brought in there, and when he brought them through the door, a lot of players walked through the door, and no one or very few people in England had heard of them. Steven Pienaar, Marouane Fellaini, players that he brought in, and he did it for 11 years. He was at Everton, something like that. So. He knows his stuff.
Classic.
Listen, he's not going to win us the Premier League unless something very, very strange happens. But never say never.
No.
But he will get value for money. I'm not too sure I buy this dithering days thing. I mean, the old saying is, a fool and his money is easily parted. And David Moyes is no fool. If he doesn't believe that a player is going to fit into not just how he wants to play, but the general vibe of the dressing room. You don't. He's gone. But you don't want a disruptive influence. You don't want someone coming in to the dressing room that's just going to upset things. He'll be back in a minute. You don't want someone walking in that's just going to sort of piss everybody off and all the rest of it. I mean, I always, and I think I said it on a stream earlier, and I'm a big, I like my rugby union. Although I'm English, I do one of the teams I've got an awful lot of respect for are the New Zealand All Blacks, because it's the most successful team in terms of sport going back 120 years. This is a country that's got a population roughly half the size of London, and yet they've dominated a physical sport like rugby union for nigh on the best part of 120 years. And you've got to ask yourself the question, why? If anybody likes reading a book, read a book called Legacy. It's really, really interesting. And they've got the New Zealand All Blacks have got about 15 rules that they essentially live by. They believe in, and it's interesting because one of the rules that they have is a rule that's called no dickheads, right? And there have been many, many players down the years that have been exceptionally talented players for their club teams, but have either never pulled on the black jersey with the silver fern or got very little time there because it's been very apparent that they are dickheads. And the New Zealand All Blacks are just like, nah. So for me, that mantra I think works. You know, I would rather have a player of a slightly inferior quality, but their character is one that meshes with the dynamic what you've got in the dressing room and creates a good harmony and vibe. You know, I mean, you look at the players and you can see they're a band of brothers. They will run through brick walls for one another. Yeah. And you, last thing you want is someone coming in and causing that team harmony to fracture and you know, for everything to sort of like, you know, fall apart as from there. I would rather have a lesser skilled player that's going to fit into the team dynamic than to get someone that's maybe a world-class player, maybe someone that's operating on a level above everybody else, but they're a dickhead.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
I couldn't agree more, actually, because it's a team game. And you've got to have a team playing it. Going back to the All Blacks, my most memorable All Black performance, 1995 World Cup semi-final, England against New Zealand. I'm watching Jonah
this is
Lomu
the one where
that
Jonah
game.
Lomu used Mike Catt as a doormat.
Yeah, he just, at one point, somebody tried to tackle him and he's just literally just peeled them off and thrown them to one side. What a rugby player. I mean, I'm quite into rugby as well because my son plays and he's pretty good at it, to be fair. And I just, you know, what a tragedy his kidneys went on him and he died quite young.
Massively.
But that game, that performance, I think was the best performance I've ever seen anybody in a rugby shirt have. He was sensational that day. You know, I can still remember it now. You know, he's just running down the line and the England guys are throwing themselves at him to tackle and they're just bouncing off because he was 18 stone and he did the 100 metres in. He was 18 stone. He did the 100 metres in 10 seconds or something, didn't he? He was unbelievable.
The geezer was a freak of nature. Absolute freak of nature. But getting back to football. We've kind of diverted. But
did we
should we talk about cricket?
Yeah, did the Lions win today?
Move on. Move on.
Okay. Oh dear.
Move on.
Okay, yeah, back to football then.
Back to football. Yes, indeed. Okay, so, well, I say back to football. You've disappeared, Steve, but you're going to be back in about 5-10 seconds. So I'm just going to sit here and whilst you're... There we go. Pops back. And, oh, my word. What is going on? Guys, as I say, those of you that are watching, do us a favour, drop a like on the video. It really does help because it's sort of like it helps the old YouTube algorithm. There's 36 of you watching. So if the 36 of you there, if there's a quantity of you that haven't dropped a like on the video, please, could you do that for me? It's literally just a click of a button. So if you're not already, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that bell icon so you'll be notified of any new content as and when it's uploaded. And now Stevie's back. So I'm going to ask him the question. We're going to do player ratings now, Steve. Are you up for it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, too right. And if you subscribe, you guys can have the pleasure of watching my internet drop out on a fairly regular basis as well.
Exactly. It's you know, entertainment, you know, on another level. You know, watching me floundering around and filling in the dead space, just waffling away. I do it. I make it look so good, though, don't I? You know.
Oh, you do indeed. Yeah, it's a good thing we're friends. Otherwise, you probably want to come and beat my router up as well. But there you go.
Listen, don't worry. You don't live too far from my mother-in-law, so I'll tell you what. I'll pop round. I'll bring a baseball bat. I'll sort out your Wi-Fi router.
I've said to you, anytime you go and see your mother-in-law, you're more than welcome, you and your family, to come in for coffee. You need to.
In fact, I'll probably go to you before I go to the mother-in-law. In fairness.
Yeah, I'll make sure.
I love my mother-in-law. She's good. My mother-in-law's good. My wife's sitting over there, so I've got to say that.
Okay.
So player ratings. We'll just do the starting 11. I'm not going to get too much into the subs because I always think it's a little bit difficult to gauge someone that's maybe only been on the pitch for a short quantity of time. So we'll just concentrate on the starting 11. So Lucas Fabianski between the sticks. What would be your rating and the reasons behind it, Steve? Out of 10. No half marks.
No, 7, because he didn't have a lot to do, but what he did do, he did well. You know,
Yeah.
crosses came across, he caught them, he distributed it fairly well. He actually rolled the ball out a couple of times, much to my. I have, Lawrence. I really have paid my internet bill. He didn't have anything to do, but when he was called on to do something, he was very solid. So 7 for me.
Okay. So, right fullback, Vladimir Tufal.
7 again. It wasn't his most wonderful game, but again, he was very solid. And as per usual, you know, there were a couple of times he got the living daylights knocked out of him, and he just sort of got up, shrugged his shoulders, and got on with it. And he's just an absolute warrior. His nickname in our house is Vlad the Impaler, because you don't want to get tackled by him, do you?
No.
So, yeah.
No. And just before you go on there, Steve, Kent's given a mark there. If any of the rest of you watched the game either live or on the internet or whatever, and you've got a mark that you want to give and an opinion that you want to give, guys, please, the live chat's there. This is your stream just as much as it is ours. So if there's anything you want to add, if you want to give an alternate point of view to Steve, please, you know, the chat is there. It's there for you to use. Please do so. Continue, Steve.
Yeah. So where were we? Vlad the Impaler. Weren't we? 7.
7 for Vladimir. Okay, so we move over to the left-hand side. We'll go with Aaron Cresswell.
Very solid with what he did. Brilliant free kick in the first half. Top right-hand corner, but the keeper got across nicely. So I'll give him a 7. Very solid. Again, decent performance. Everything you want, really. So, yeah. Centre backs now, isn't it? Okay. So, Diop.
Okay, we'll start with Issa Diop. What were your thoughts on him?
I'm going to give him a 6, because every time he tries to control the ball and pass it, he terrifies me. I always think he's going to fall over his own feet. I know he's not, but 6, because he just doesn't look particularly assured and comfortable.
Quite ungainly.
Yeah. I mean, James and I watch him and we go, you know, how on earth can you look so uncomfortable trapping a ball and passing it when you're a professional footballer? But he does, and he worries the living daylights out of me. He really does. So 6 for him.
I don't think you're the only one there, mate. Craig Dawson.
I'm going to give him a 6 as well, because I don't think he was as good as Vlad and Aaron by any means. So, yeah, he was solid. He was decent. I'm also going to give him a 6 because he nearly took one of our own players out in the second half, and they were down. I can't remember who it was, but they were down on the floor with a potential head injury. He came in so hard. So, yeah, I'll give him a 6 on the basis that he nearly caused us an injury before the season started.
Yeah, he's like, it's only a friendly. We don't want to injure your own players. Stop it.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Yeah. Okay, we'll go with the Hammer of the Year, ladies and gentlemen. If you weren't aware, the announcement was made yesterday that Thomas Souček is the Hammer of the Year for season 2020-2021. My humble opinion, I think it was Vladimir Tufal, but the official one was given to Thomas Souček. I can't really argue too much. Joint top goal scorer last season, absolutely, and played every minute up to the point that he got sent off at Fulham and that red card got overturned on appeal. So he played pretty much every minute of the season in the league. Your thoughts on him, Steve?
7. Very solid. Nothing spectacular, but 7. Yeah. Again, I thought he looked tired. I thought Deck looked tired as well. And that if and they got taken off on the 62nd minute. And I thought, yeah, you've played a lot of football. There's a lot of football in those legs. But what he had to do, he did well. So 7.
Okay. Moving to his defensive midfield partner, the legendary number 41 shirt.
Yeah.
The captain on the day, Declan Rice.
6. He was very, very quiet today. First 20 minutes. First 20 minutes, he just didn't look up for it at all. He did grow into the game. He did become a bit more solid, but by Dec's high standards, it was 6 isn't a bad mark, but he didn't reach the heights you'd expect from Dec. So I'll give Dec a 6.
Do you think he looked tired as well?
I thought he looked knackered actually. When he,
he's played a lot of football.
He has, yeah. So for me, there wasn't the usual Declan spark, so I'm going to give him a 6.
Okay. So we move to the attacking midfield trio. We'll go left-hand side first of all. Pablo Fornals.
8. His link-up play with
Decent.
Benrahma was sensational, and he played very well. I mean, and also the other thing is he didn't actually get a chance to shoot a goal, so he couldn't make a hash of it. So, he doesn't lose a mark there. But no, I thought him playing with Benrahma very quiet for the first 20 minutes, but when he did sort of get into the game, he looked good. He looked composed. He looked more confident than he had last season. Much more self-assured. So, yeah, I'll give him an 8. Very pleased with that, his performance.
What was your, just before we move on to the rest of the players, in terms of Fornals, you've mentioned his link-up play with Benrahma. Did you feel also that he's still offering the protection to Aaron Cresswell on that left-hand flank that worked so well last season? Did you see a bit of that sort of taking place?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Fornals is, I love Fornals. I think he's a great player for us. But he runs around like a headless chicken. He's everywhere down that left-hand side. There won't be many harder working players on the left than Fornals. So yeah, it was a good performance. He's everywhere and he's trying his hardest all the time. So yeah, very, very, very good today, I thought.
Okay, we're going to move over to the right-hand side now, and I'm going to go with Andrei Yarmolenko. Again, another player that had quite a bit of football at the Euros, but probably didn't play as much football in last season. So probably, I'm guessing he didn't look quite as tired as Souček and Rice, or have I maybe misread that?
No, he didn't, but I'll give him a 6 because he did some nice stuff, but he didn't really impact the game.
Do you think he was overplaying a little bit?
Yeah, he was doing what he usually does, try and do too much with it. If he kept it simple with his vision and his skill, he could unlock a defence easily, but he doesn't.
Oh,
No.
Ken.
Harsh, I think.
Listen, every opinion is valid. We welcome them all, whether we agree with them or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, wow. Mind you, if I was to ask Jake on West Ham Unofficial, he'd probably go even worse than that. He'd probably give him a 2 or something.
Yeah, he probably would know, Drake. But there we have it. But yeah, I'll give him a 6. I wasn't impressed. I wasn't unimpressed. It was just a sort of one of those performances you look at and go, yeah, it's okay.
So. He was there. He did all right. Nothing bad, nothing good. Somewhere in the middle. Okay. Yeah. We'll come to Saeed Benrahma now. I've got a funny feeling I know what your mark's going to be here.
Yeah. But Saeed Benrahma, I'm giving him a 10. I said earlier on, I just thought it was sensational. All game. Absolutely sensational. He made such a difference. And as I say, I thoroughly enjoy watching him play. You know,
Mm.
as we said before, you get players like that. You look at them and you think, oh, it's just a joy to watch you with the football at your feet. So yeah, he gets
10.
a 10 from me.
A 10 for the 10, essentially.
Yeah,
I know he wore 22, but, he
yeah,
was
he was
in the number
sensational
10
today.
position.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I think that's the position he needs to play. I mean, for me,
yeah,
I think that if you've got a player that's the most skillful at the club, and I think the general consensus is that Saeed Benrahma is the most skillful player at the club, then for me, that's the player that should be playing in the playmaker role.
yeah. He was just pulled all the strings today. It was brilliant. Yeah, I can't say any more than I've said. Really, Charlie Boy's
I
given
take
him a
it,
4.
Charlie, that's not for Saeed Benrahma. I take it that's for Andrei Yarmolenko, I'm guessing. I hope
Yes,
so.
yeah. Otherwise, we've seen it completely differently, Charlie. No, I thought he was great.
That must have been for Yarmolenko.
Well,
Must have
I
been.
hope so. Yeah, and I suppose lastly, it's Mickey, isn't it? Mickey Antonio to give a grade to, and I'll give him an 8. His finish was sublime. You know, he's taken it.
Yeah.
Benrahma's knocked it in. He's taken it on his thigh and just hammered it.
Ah,
Yeah, he's just hammered it into the bottom right hand corner. The other thing I love
yeah.
about Antonio, apart from his work rate and everything else, is whenever he gets the ball, you don't know what he's going to. He doesn't know what he's going to do with it. You you haven't got a clue. He's as likely to fall over the ball as he is to play some fantastic trick, and it must be
Yeah.
really confusing for defenders. You know, because you never know what's
He's
going to
so
happen to you
unorthodox,
next.
isn't he?
Oh yeah, yeah, but again, he looked. Gonzo mentioned it on Hammer's chat. He said it looks like he trimmed down a bit, and he looked in really good shape, and he did look in good shape today. He was still the
Mm.
powerhouse and the bulldozer that's Antonio, but he just looked ready and
More
fit
streamlined.
for it. Yes, in exactly the way I'm not.
Yeah. No, Charlie's just qualified. Obviously, he's given Benrahma 12.8 out of 10.
Wow.
That's pretty good. And he said, yeah, that the 4 was for Yarmo. Well,
Yeah.
so that's fine. Because I've got to be honest, Charlie, I was thinking, please don't tell me that was for Benrahma, because everyone that I've spoken to, everybody that I've seen comments from, has said that Benrahma was absolutely sensational. And whilst I didn't see the first half, I saw enough in the second half to sort of look at him and go, yeah, you'll do for me. You'll do
And
for
he
me.
wasn't.
But it's a pre-season friendly. As I say, I don't want to get carried away. He needs to replicate this going
Yeah.
forwards. I think he's more than capable of doing it. But thinking that someone's capable of doing it, that then needs to be translated into it actually happening. It's no good if we're sitting here today and going, Saeed Benrahma had a sensational game. Saeed Benrahma has had a sensational preseason, which in my opinion he has. And then he doesn't turn up for the Newcastle game, doesn't turn up for the Leicester game, blah blah blah. That's no good at all. He needs to utilize this confidence that he's clearly got. He needs to turn around to David Moyes and say, and I said this last season, he needs to put in not just a performance, but it needs to be a performance followed by a performance followed by a performance, and so on and so on and so on. And basically continually say to David Moyes, I dare you to drop me. I dare you
Yeah.
to drop me, boss. And if he can do that, and I think he's got it. I think that he's had last season to really sort of get into the Moyes style of football, what he wants, Premier League football. Because don't forget, to be fair to him, he's come from Championship football, which, it's a different animal to Premier League football. He's made the step up. He's had a little bit of time to acclimatise and bed in a little bit. Now he's got to really sort of take the ball by the horns. And like I say, make that number 10 position his own. I don't want to see him shunted out to the left. Like I say, I think that the most skillful player at your club should be your number 10. And the common consensus is the most skillful player at the club, and we've got a few, but the most skillful player, the common consensus is that Saeed Benrahma is the most skillful player at the club. Right, he's your number 10. Build your team around him, and make the best of him.
Yeah, it's interesting. You said you only saw him in the second half. I actually thought he was better in the first half than the second half. I thought in the first half he was absolutely electric. And I saw Peter wanted, I score C. It's a 9. Thank you, Lawrence. Peter said he wanted mother-in-law jokes. I mean, my favourite ever was from Jasper Carrot, and he said, I went on a pleasure trip the other day. I took my mother-in-law to the airport, which I quite liked.
Do you reckon I should tell the missus that one?
No. I'm probably in enough trouble with your missus already without you telling her that. But no.
Moving swiftly along. So we've done Antonio. There's one player, because I said we're not going to bother with the subs. One person that we're going to mark, and that is the manager, Mr. David Moyes. What was your thoughts on the setup, the tactics, the substitutions, the whole 9 yards?
Well, let's take it in context. We've won all our pre-season games. We've smashed Celtic. And we've won the Betway Cup for the first time since 2015, which is pretty damning, really, considering it's our trophy that we set up. Though it did give me great pleasure to take photographs.
So West Ham, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it gave me great pleasure to take a photograph of us lifting the trophy and then forward it to my Spurs supporting brother-in-law underneath, saying that's what silverware looks like.
Did you see who lifted it, though?
Yeah, it was, what's his name? Jamal
Baptiste.
Yeah, I thought that was a really nice touch, actually. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so Nobes was standing there with Jamal. They were sort of arm in arm having a couple of photographs taken. And then he basically let the kid, you pick it up, mate, not a problem. The old guard ushering in the new, perhaps?
Yeah. I agree with Lawrence, actually. I'm going to give Moyes a 9. I think he's done really well in pre-season. And I know there's a lot of doom and gloom because of signings and this PAI thing. I mean, the fact that the head guy of PIA has got an Interpol warrant out on him is, says it all, really. But
and he's not a billionaire, Steve. He's a millionaire. I'm not being funny, but if we're going from David Sullivan, who is a billionaire, not a big hitting billionaire like an Abramovich, but he is a billionaire. Last time I looked on the Forbes rich list, anyway, and we're going to go to a guy that's a millionaire. Forgive me, is that not a retrograde step?
Oh, has to be. I mean, I think we need a change of ownership because I just don't think they've got the money to take us to the next level now. But having said that, I'm not an anybody but Sullivan and Gold person.
Me neither.
I want the right people in, and Sullivan and Gold, for all their faults, we could have owners that are a hell of a lot worse than them. It's very, very easy.
Well, look at what happened when they left Birmingham.
Yeah. Well, look what happened when the guy who's fronting this up for PAI.
Philip Beard.
Philip Beard, and to get you can tell they haven't thought it through. So they've got Rio Ferdinand to get involved after he said, I think Declan Rice should go to Manchester United. Now, that strikes me that Rio's only just got involved, because if he'd been involved earlier, he probably wouldn't have said that.
It's probably also to do with the fact he's probably been given an envelope full of cash. And Rio, do us a favour, back us up in the media, would you? Yeah, no problem. Listen, Rio Ferdinand, not for me. I'm sorry. No. I got a lot of time for him as a player, obviously, for what he did for us back in the day. But you look at his Twitter feed and whatnot. He's a Manchester United fan now.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
he's probably got a soft spot for West Ham. I'm sure he's got a soft spot for West Ham, obviously, but he's a Manchester United fan. And that was illustrated when he did that tweet, basically waving Declan Rice off to Old Trafford. And I'm sorry, once you do that to a player's, not just the star player, but any player that's currently employed by another club, in that fashion, I just think that it lacked a little bit of class, in my opinion, and
Yeah,
he went down in my estimation.
it was quite insulting, actually, wasn't it? In many ways.
Hmm.
So, but no, I'm. If I was given a straight choice between this group and Golden Sullivan, be Golden Sullivan every day for me. Because,
Hmm.
as I said before, I don't think they're bad people with bad intent. I just think they lack competency. And being incompetent doesn't make you a bad person. It just means you can't do what you're trying to do. And
Well, it's interesting because I was on a stream yesterday. I was on West Ham Random, and if any of you guys that are watching are like, what's West Ham Random? Do us a favour after the stream's finished. Jump onto YouTube, go into the search bar and put in West Ham Random. If you're familiar with Peach, who's a guest on here quite often, basically it's a little YouTube channel he set up. Do us a favour, give him a subscribe, show him a little bit of your love. We're all West Ham
oh,
here, so give him
Peach
a
is
little bit of
amazing.
support. If you're watching Peach, I'm helping you out, mate. Don't worry, you've helped me out often
Yeah,
enough, so
big up
I'm returning
Peach.
the favour. Big up Peach, big
Yeah,
up Peach.
indeed.
But I've now lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
Golden
See, I
Sullivan.
told you. Golden Sullivan. I was on with Peach yesterday, on West Ham Random, and there was me, there was Peach, there was James Fever, and Charlie, who
Yeah,
was in the chat just a moment ago. He might still be there. And James, and he said it often enough, James. I am Lawrence. You're right. James has levelled the accusation on more than one occasion that Gold and Sullivan lack ambition, and I countered it yesterday. And I'm not trying to sort of be contrary just to sort of cause a sort of argument or anything like that. I genuinely believe what I'm about to say. I don't think it's a lack of ambition on the part of Gold and Sullivan. If I'm being completely honest, I think they're over ambitious, and I'll tell you why. If you look at the 10-point pledge that they put out when they first walked through the door, and we can all look at it and basically say that apart from the move to the London Stadium, they've pretty much failed on every other point, more
yeah,
or less every other point. And that pledge is still there, guys, on the official club website for you to see. So if you're not too sure what the 10-point pledges are, or you can't quite remember it all, have a look. It's still there. You can still scrutinize it and make your judgment. Did they sort of stack up to what they promised when they first walked through the door? I actually think they're over ambitious. I think that they want that 10-point pledge. I think that they genuinely wanted to do it. Certainly David
yeah,
Gold. David Gold,
yeah,
out of the two of them, for me, is the West Ham fan. David Sullivan, for me, is a Cardiff City fan that has a soft spot for West Ham.
yeah, yeah.
That's my opinion. Now, I think they're over ambitious. I think they want to do X, Y, Z. I think they want to world-class players for a world-class stadium. I think they want to challenge for European football. I think they want to operate, at a higher plane than West Ham have been used to over the last however many years. I think the fact of the matter is that they're ill-equipped to actually deliver on that. That's
Yeah,
my opinion. I think if I'm being honest, I think they're over ambitious, but they don't have the financial firepower to deliver on their ambitions.
yeah. Because somebody was saying, and I put on our group chat for the addicts the other day, how that I estimate to get West Ham into the top four and to sort the stadium out, I would think that would be £2 billion, roughly. Be- because putting that stadium right is going to be hundreds of millions, and then you've got to have a minimum investment over a number of over a number of transfer windows of a minimum of 150 million. You burn through 2 billion very, very quickly, and they just don't have the
it's
money
probably
to
going to
do
be. I
that.
mean, sort of Sullivan's probably not. I mean, he rejected a £500 million bid from Pi. He was on record via Karen Brady 2 years ago as saying that the club he valued at 800 million. Now that was pre-COVID, admittedly. Let's just suppose, for the sake of argument, that he currently values the club at 700 million. Now, how much is it going to cost to because let's be honest about it. I think that the easiest thing to do to London Stadium in an ideal world would be to bulldoze it and start again, rather than trying to, retrofit bits and pieces. This is just the way I look at it. I'm not an architect, I'm not a structural engineer, I'm not a builder, but I just look at it and think, do you know what? I think that the simplest thing to do is to literally, as they say, rip it up and start again. I mean, that's going to cost a good couple of 100 million, as well as obviously,
didn't it? That was Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could do it. I think you could build a decent stadium for less than $1 billion. I think that Tottenham really pushed the boat out on that, in my opinion. But I think it would cost an awful lot of money, And the thing is, don't forget. I mean, we've discussed this. It doesn't matter who you are. Jeff Bezos, I think, is the richest man in the world at this current moment in time. Let's just suppose that Jeff Bezos has a soft spot for West Ham and says tomorrow, picks the phone up and says to Mr. Sullivan, right, I'll give you what you want. I'll match your asking price. And then he wants to buy the stadium. Well, he can't. No. He can't buy the stadium. It's got to go because it's a government asset. And by law, my understanding is that stadium has to go through a tender process. Now, obviously, if it was Jeff Bezos, let's be honest, the richest man in the world is probably going to get his hands on it if it goes through a tender process.
Yeah.
But he might not. He might not. So, it's not definite that someone coming in, and if it was Jeff Bezos, if it was Bill Gates, if it was Elon Musk, pick a billionaire, any billionaire, they're not guaranteed to get their hands on the London Stadium. So it's all very well and good. And like Pi said, about getting their hands on the stadium, that's words, but deeds are a different thing.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I was talking to my wife because this is what she does for a living. She does tendering, all that kind of stuff. And she does some quite complex tenders as well. But I think LLDC might find themselves in trouble having negotiated this in principle with PAI behind closed doors and nobody knowing about it. They
and not just that they've negotiated with. Well, I don't understand. And again, I'll repeat. I repair domestic appliances for a living. I'm not a hedge fund manager. I'm not in high level business. I've never run a Premier League club or anything like this. But I just sort of sit there and think, because there was a statement from Lynn Garner, the CEO of the LLDC, that said, and I've actually got it on my phone, and I'm just going to try and find it just so that I don't misquote it. But it was something to the effect of, trying to get the best deal for taxpayers and this, that, and the other. Oh, I can't find it. Whatever. But it was. Oh, hang on. No, here it is. Here it is. I'll just read the first paragraph. We have a clear responsibility to explore all opportunities to ensure the best possible outcome for the public and taxpayer from the Olympic legacy, and are keen to work with West Ham United to reduce the costs of the stadium to the taxpayer. Right. If that's the case, my dear, why have you had a conversation with a company that doesn't own a single share in West Ham United, and yet you're keen to work with West Ham United to reduce the cost of the stadium to the taxpayer? So for me, either it's a dereliction of duty by Gold & Sullivan, and they've not picked the phone up and had the conversation with the LLDC, or they're not really interested in doing so, because the current deal, as far as they're concerned, is perfectly sufficient for them, or the LLDC don't give a monkeys. But if they don't give a monkeys, why have they had this conversation with Pi Capital, who don't own a share in the club? I mean, for me, it's just like, how has this conversation even happened? It's completely ridiculous.
Well, in Gold & Sullivan's defence, if I was in their position renting that stadium, one that loses 20 odd million a year, and I was paying 2.5 million in rent, I wouldn't want it changed. Why would I want to take on 18 million pounds, what effectively would be a 20 million pound loss for me each year?
Yeah, fair point.
Hang on, one football app said Fiorentina rejected our
bid for Milenkovic. Yeah, I saw that earlier, Wildston. I did see that earlier. There's so many stories that I've heard, though, it's close, that it's not quite as close. I mean, West Ham Online was on earlier this morning, and he said he thinks it's close, but it's maybe not as close as people maybe are reporting. So watch this space. I think it will happen. I think that the will is there.
The bit of reporting I've loved is, who's the Barcelona centre forward? Martin Braithwaite, is it? Is it Braithwaite?
Yep.
And everybody said deal's nearly done, and West Ham came out and said, we've got no interest in him at all. We don't want to sign him.
I hope that's right.
Oh no, it came from Claret and Hughes. So to be fair, Sean West has got good angles on that, and and it kept going. Martin Braithwaite will be done soon. Anyway, I read a report the other day. Martin Braithwaite has decided, by the same people, has decided he doesn't want to move to West Ham. It was never on the table in the first place, But there is so much fake news.
I don't want him.
Or it's Chelsea are preparing a bid. This guy who was said Declan should be sold for 60 million. Chelsea are preparing a bid for Declan. Man, you were preparing a bid for Declan. Then in the paper the other day, as no bids have come in, oh no, they're put off by the price. So you get all this further, and then they backtrack, saying that the parties they were reporting as doing something have changed their mind, whereas in fact they've made the whole thing up anyway. It's the reporting. I read West Ham News now quite a bit, and some of the reporting is so farcical. It's ridiculous. If we bought every player we were linked with, we'd have a squad of 200 or 300, I would imagine. It's ridiculous.
Anyway. It's crazy.
No.
Anyway, right. We've obviously discussed the match. We've had a little bit of a discussion on transfers. We've had a discussion on Pi. We're going to end the stream here, ladies and gentlemen. Steve, I'd like to thank you very much indeed for your participation today. But for those of you that are watching, please don't go anywhere. Please, just bear with me one moment whilst I just get this one out there. Young Isla Caton, I'm sure you know the story, but if you don't, she's a young girl that is suffering with a cancer called neuroblastoma. Ain't no cure for this in the UK. So I know we're coming to hopefully the latter stages of the pandemic, but this situation's been bubbling away through the entirety of it and before, and this family need our help, because they got to pay for the treatment, the flights to wherever it is they got to go around the world to get the treatment. They've got to pay for their bills that are coming in the UK, their living costs when they're away, blah 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 blah. Okay, so I've got the banner here on the screen. This information is in the description below the stream. on both YouTube and on Facebook. All I'm asking you to do initially is to copy and paste it and put it onto your social media platforms, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, whatever, with a little note as to what it's all about. If you can put a few quid in the pot, if you've got a few bob in your pocket, you've got a Just Giving page there, please feel free to put in whatever you can reasonably donate. No donation is too small. This family will say thank you very much for whatever you can put in the pot. Guys, I will say it again, I have said it before, this is a race against time. We pride ourselves at West Ham of being a family, of being a community. So let's try and come together and try and kick this cancer that this little girl has got into touch and get this girl into a position where she ain't got to worry and her family ain't got to worry about treatments and what's going to happen in the future. Let's try and come together and do a little bit of good, guys. And I thank you as always for listening to my appeal. Steve, I'm going to end it there, my friend. Let's just have a quick look at this last comment here, though, before we do. Don't know who to believe. X said talks have gone positive. One football have said bid rejected. Wealdstone, if you're asking me that question, Trev, you are an absolute diamond, my friend. Absolute ledge.
Thank you, Trevor.
If I had to sort of lean towards who I probably would give the greatest credence to, I would probably say X.
Yeah.
I would probably say X. What would you say, Steve?
Yeah, I'll go with X. He's pretty reliable, and
yeah,
for an ITK, he's been very consistent over the years.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to end it there, guys. As I say, as usual, please drop a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hit that bell icon to be notified of any new content. The like on the video really does help the channel. It might seem like a daft thing, and you might think, whatever, but it really does help the old algorithms, and hopefully it gets the channel into people, that maybe otherwise wouldn't have done so. It really would help the channel greatly if you could just take the time, click the little thumbs up symbol, and like I say, it really does help the old YouTube algorithms to getting us out there to people that maybe otherwise wouldn't. Guys, I'm going to end it there. Only one thing left to say, isn't there, Steve? I believe.
Yeah, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons. And guys, have yourself a great weekend. And
yeah, and sorry, as Andy's not here, we are massive. Just
keep it clean, Steve. Keep it clean.
Yeah, I will.
Good lad. Thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Have yourself a great weekend.